And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Berardi versus Berardi, step forward, please.
Fleet manager John Berardi is suing his ex-wife, homemaker Lisa Berardi, for an unpaid loan for their son's legal fees. Lisa claims the money was John's idea.
Mr. Berardi, the defendant is your former wife. According to your complaint, you say that she owes you $950 for legal fees that were incurred by your 14-year-old son. 14-year-old son evidently got a hold of a BB gun, and he shot the BB gun while he was in his mother's custody. Was anybody injured?
No.
Some property damage?
A hole in a window.
Okay. He was arrested, and you claim that his mother borrowed the money from you to pay for a lawyer. You want the money back?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When were you divorced?
When were we divorced? I don't remember the date.
I asked the question.
I don't
you
remember
don't remember.
the date.
She'll remember. When were you divorced?
89.
What month?
It was during the summertime, about June, July.
I know the hour and the second. In any event, sometime during the summer of 1989.
Mm-hmm.
So your son was very young at the time because he's 14 years now. Do you share custody of him?
Yes.
Do either of you pay support?
No.
You each take care of him when you have him?
Yes, ma'am.
So to say, yes.
What do you mean that's so to say? I don't understand that.
Well, he resides with me.
And he was visiting with you?
Mm-hmm.
Where did he get the BB gun from?
A friend of mine. We borrowed the BB gun so we can take him up to Pennsylvania by my brother's house.
Okay. Tell me about the loan, sir.
After I got the letters from the court stating that he had to be defended by an attorney, I called around, and the cheapest attorney I could find was $1,000. Since I was not receiving any child support, it was very difficult for me to have to spend that kind of money. I called his mother, and I told her the only way I could do it is if I took the money from a credit card. She told me that she would pay me the full amount for the attorney. She would give me $50 to $100 a month when she could, and every time I asked, she never seemed to have the money for it. Finally, she told me that she would give it to me from her tax return this year, and when that came in, she had to use it for something else. So, again, I didn't receive any money. I just felt like I was being taken advantage of, so I had to file the claim.
Go ahead.
I don't feel that I owe him.
No, the question is, did he call you and tell you about the attorney?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Well, tell me about your version of your recollection of that conversation.
When he called, he told me that he needed an attorney for my son and that the cheapest was $1,000. I did not have $1,000 or $500 to give him. And I said, let me find out and see if I can do it through legal aid. But because my son resides with his father was held responsible for that. So I said, okay, at least I tried. He asked me, for me to pay him. And at the time, I wound up getting laid off at my job. I was on unemployment. I was backed up with bills. I could not afford to pay it. I did say to him that when I would get my unemployment, I would, give him some money. When my unemployment came in, it wasn't what I was expecting. So I could not afford, because I've been backed up. I'm backed up with bills. Now I'm on disability.
What's the nature of your disability?
I fell and I broke my tailbone and I have 4 herniated and ruptured discs.
You owe him the money, and you're going to pay him the money, and I'm going to tell you why. You're getting a free ride. You haven't paid him child support.
He waived that. I support my child when he's by me.
No. He may not pursue you for child support, but that doesn't mean that you're not getting a freebie, madam.
Yes,
just because you're the mother and he's the father and he happens to have custody of the child. The law is gender blind. We don't see mother, father, we just see 2 parents. And each parent is responsible for the child's support. And you've been getting away with it for a long time. So, I believe that you said to him, when I get my money, I'll help you out as best I can, and he relied on that. And how much was the lawyer, $950?
The lawyer was $1,000.
Well, you're suing for $950 because she gave you $50.
She gave me $50,
yes.
right.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $950. Consider yourself lucky. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I couldn't afford it.
I just want to put the matter behind us and move forward.
I just told him whenever I had the money,
We have to parent our child together, and
if I can afford to give it to him, I would.
we have to do that respectfully.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Krezakowski versus Suggs, step forward, please.
United States Marine Joseph Krezakowski is suing his ex-girlfriend, 26-year-old lease administrator Amy Suggs, for her share of a credit card debt.
Mr. Krasakowski, you claim that the defendant, who is your former girlfriend, owes you for some credit card debt.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says that, yes, in fact, she did agree to pay half of the credit card debt that the two of you had accumulated while you were together, but then she had second thoughts about it after she made some payments, and she feels as if she should not have to pay that because she was sort of pressured into making the agreement. Is that your defense?
Not exactly.
Well, what's your defense?
There were extenuating circumstances when we separated, and I feel like I was taken advantage of in the situation. Not necessarily that I just decided I didn't want to make payments anymore.
Well, let's start with the fact that the two of you lived together.
Yes.
And that you had this credit card that had built up how much in debt, sir?
When we separated, it was at $6,500 and some change, ma'am.
And you agreed to split that debt in half?
Yes, ma'am, we
Is
did.
that correct?
Yes.
And you separated when?
About the 20th of July of 2002, ma'am, or of January.
20th of January?
Yes, ma'am.
And you did make payments up until March of 2003?
Correct.
And then stopped?
Right.
Okay, now explain why.
When we separated, I was in a situation where I was in North Carolina with my son, an 8-year-old, by myself. Joe had made reference several times to being in relationships before where everything had been taken away from him. I needed to get out of the relationship, and I was concerned that when we separated, it wouldn't be as easy as I wanted it to be. Not only was I alone in North Carolina, but I had no friends there to help me in my situation. When the discussion came up about us separating, I agreed not to take anything with me that he would have to replace, and I agreed to pay half of the credit card.
What do you mean you agreed not to take anything that he would have to replace?
Well,
what did you take with you?
I took my son's bedroom furniture, my personal belongings, my clothing, some extra dishes.
You took dishes. Go ahead. What else?
And I believe I took a hope chest, a cedar hope chest.
Anything else that you took, sir?
She took the computer and also a china hutch for the kitchen.
Does that sound familiar?
Yes, yes.
You left the computer out, and you left the china hutch out, right?
Right.
Was the computer purchased on the credit card?
It was purchased on a totally separate credit card that was already paid off by this time, ma'am.
Was anything that was taken by the defendant items that had been purchased on the credit card?
No, ma'am. Basically, the credit card was used for both our children's Christmas and birthdays and things for around the house.
Okay. You haven't convinced me so far, Miss Suggs. All I hear is a lot of excuses. You want to take one last shot?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
When we separated, majority of our furniture that we had accumulated together, we either brought into a relationship or bought while we were together. He kept all of it. I don't have anything to show for that. A few measly pieces of furniture.
Did you ask for anything else?
I wanted more things, but I wasn't in a position to ask because I was by myself. I didn't know how he would react, how he would respond.
Well, then you didn't ask for it. Then you took whatever you said you wanted.
Not only did I have to refurnish an entire apartment, I've paid him $1,300, in addition to the fact that at the time we separated, he was making probably twice as much as I was.
All of those are excuses. You were living together as a family. You had a child. Did you have children?
I have a son from a previous marriage that doesn't live with me, but he'd come and visit, ma'am.
Your son would come and visit, and your child lived with you. So you had this credit card that was used for your family. He agreed to pay for half. You agreed to pay for half. And I was right when I said later on, after you made some payments, you had second thoughts.
No, I didn't have second thoughts. All along, I felt like I had been taken advantage of.
You made the deal. Live by it. Stop being a crybaby. You made the deal. That's the deal. Stop having second thoughts about it. How come you didn't have second thoughts and say, you know, I really should give him the entire amount? How come it's always, I have second thoughts, I don't think I'm going to give him anything?
Because I didn't trust that he would leave me alone. I gave him all the furniture.
Well, that's unfortunate, madam. You haven't told me any reason why you didn't trust him. Because he had another bad relationship where he ended up on the short end of the stick financially? That was your reason? Miss Suggs, be a grown-up. You made the deal. You live by it. The check will be drawn to the card company, which will clear your credit, sir, of $2,481.65. That's all. Step out.
As I excuse, you may step out.
I'm just glad to see it's all over with and I won't have to deal with it anymore.
It wasn't really too bad until, like I said, in March when she decided to stop making payments. Everything was going okay until then.
I felt like I was taken advantage of, and I still do.
She needed to find herself and move on, and I guess I wasn't in the picture.
All parties in the matter of Carino versus Bradson. Step forward, please.
Dental office manager Regina Carino is suing her ex-fiancé, electrician Ryan Bridson, for house payments. Ryan is countersuing, claiming Regina stole property from the home after they broke up.
The background of this case is simple, even though pretty stupid on your part. You were engaged and you decided to buy a house together. So clearly you don't pay attention to what I say. You don't buy anything jointly. A car, a house, a boat, a trailer, a truck, and anything, unless you're married, right? Okay. Your problem is that after you bought this house, the relationship went south, and shortly after you moved out, he stopped paying the mortgage. You paid the mortgage, according to you, for how many months?
From November till March.
November, December, January, February, March, the house was sold.
Yes.
So you paid it for 4 months or 5?
5.
5 months. You made the mortgage payment for 5 months, and when you sold the house, there was a profit, and the profit was $8,000. So each of you took $4,000.
Mm-hmm.
And what you want is, you want him to give you back the money that you spent on the mortgage when you weren't living there.
Yes, ma'am.
Which amounts to how much?
Just for the mortgage alone, totals up to $3,109.68.
What were the mortgage payments each month?
They varied depending. I was waiting on the defendant to make the payment, which some months it were different because it added a late fee.
I see. And then you say that he purchased some electronic equipment on a credit card that both of you had?
Yeah, it was in both our names. It was
Also,
after we separated.
Dumb, stupid. You don't pay attention. You don't listen. You don't get a credit card with somebody jointly if you're not married. Even when you're married, sometimes it's stupid. But for sure, when you're not married, it's stupid to have a joint credit card.
Yes.
And you say that electronic equipment was bought for the house?
It was actually for his vehicle. And I didn't find out
For his
until I got
car?
the bill. Yes.
For his car?
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't pay the credit card bill off?
No, I'm still paying on it.
Well, that's what happens when you take out a joint credit card. So I'm going to deal with the mortgage payments only. Now, you have a cross-claim, and your cross-claim is that she and or her boyfriend broke into the house when you weren't there and stole electronic equipment. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Furniture also.
What proof do you have that they stole this equipment?
I have my witness was going to come, but he couldn't come, Your Honor, because
Well, then what proof?
I can give you his number. You can call him.
I don't do that.
I got proof that, I have pictures of my furniture.
Listen to me.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
proof do you have that the plaintiff and her boyfriend broke into your house to present to me today? If you have none, I will dismiss your case without prejudice. You can go file it again if you have proof. But without a witness, since you weren't home, you were in Florida, according to you, I can't make a determination that anybody committed a felony. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So let's stay with this house payment. Now, let us assume that she made and that she has records for $3,109 worth of mortgage payments that she made when she wasn't living in the house. You were living in the house. According to you, you fell on bad financial times.
No, ma'am.
Well, that's what you say in your answer.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Well, then why say no? Is it no or is it yes?
It's yes. The very last month, I did not pay her because we were receiving a settlement from the closure of the house, and I said, you can just take it out of that. But the other 4 months, I did pay, Your Honor.
Show me.
I gave her straight cash, and she doesn't give me receipts or anything like that. I gave her straight cash on...
Mr. Bridson, show me bank accounts where you took out the cash from the bank account to give her.
It was all on trust, Your Honor.
No, you don't trust. A bank doesn't trust, sir. A bank doesn't trust. You said...
We were still good friends.
Listen to me. You said that you gave her the money for the mortgage payment in cash every month.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't have a receipt.
No, ma'am.
Now, you're not living together. You're not together. So the smart thing would have been either you write a check or you get a money order so you have some sort of a receipt. But okay.
We were friends. Sorry.
So I said to you, well, if you didn't have a check or a money order, show me your bank statement where you withdrew money from your bank every month to give her in cash.
Didn't, Your Honor.
You didn't. You kept it under the mattress. You accumulated the money
Yes,
every
ma'am,
month
I never
under the
kept my
mattress.
money in my bank
Do
account.
you know that I don't believe you, sir?
I never keep my money in the bank. I
No,
promise.
you never keep the money in the bank. What do you do for a living?
I'm an electrician.
You paid in cash?
Yes, ma'am.
When's the last time you filed tax returns?
Last year.
What did you say you earned last year?
32 grand.
And were you working for yourself or were you working for somebody else?
Working for a company.
What's the name of the company?
Electric.
And Electric paid you in cash?
No, ma'am.
Electric paid you by check.
Yes, ma'am.
So if Electric paid you by check, where did you put your check every week?
I went and cashed it and I put it in my pocket.
Where did you cash it?
At the bank, at my bank.
You see how you're getting to be tripping over your tie there, sir? So you have a bank.
Yes, ma'am. But I don't put money in the bank. I use it to cash my check.
They don't cash your check, sir, unless you keep money in the bank.
$5.
Do you know that he honestly believes he's smarter than I am? Something happens to your brain, I think, when you have all that work done.
He just don't know you very well.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. I don't believe you.
Okay.
Because according to your answer, I'm going to read you what you wrote, but you probably forgot because you're not so smart. And what you swore to. My roommate got laid off and my income wasn't enough to cover the bills, so I told Regina I was going to have to file for bankruptcy because I couldn't afford to pay off my debt. Regina didn't want the house to go into foreclosure, so she decided she would pay the mortgage.
For the
That's what you said.
For the one month, the very last month.
No,
and
sir.
I was going to file bankruptcy on my credit card.
Listen to me, sir. A house doesn't go into foreclosure in 1 month.
She was just running her mouth.
Listen to me.
Just
Listen
exaggerating.
to me. Listen to me. A house doesn't go into foreclosure in 1 month. You just told me a moment ago, I have a very good memory, Mr. Brightson. You just told her, well, take it out for the 1 month because we were closing in 1 month on the sale. And I'm telling you that a house doesn't go into foreclosure in 1 month, especially when you have a sale. So I believe her that she paid the mortgage from November when you say you fell on hard times and your roommate lost his job and you couldn't afford to pay all of your bills. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,109. But, Ms. Carino, I want you to listen to me very carefully.
Yes, ma'am.
You should have taken care of all of this business when you closed on the house. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
What state do you live in?
Virginia.
Do you have attorneys when you close on property, or do you do that yourselves?
We did have an attorney at the time.
You had one lawyer?
Mm-hmm.
Did you raise the issue of the fact that he owed you money with your lawyer?
Yes, he wasn't going to have it. So
he wasn't going to have it.
Yeah, he didn't want me to get my share.
He's a loser. Forget about it. You're much better off. Got it?
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It is bogus.
I think she did what she knew was right.
I don't know what the problem is. I paid her.
We had a verbal agreement, what was coming with me and what was staying.
They are broke because they're just poor and they were trying to get some extra money, so they got it.
I have actually less than he has, so.
Him and her stole my furniture out of my house when I was in Florida, got the key from the realtor.
We didn't break into a house.
And took everything, wiped me out. I had nothing.
He knew we were going there, and his friend called him, and he said, don't worry about it.
She got over $3,000 worth of furniture. She shouldn't have to worry about anything else.
I'm not going to leave him everything and leave me nothing.
Yeah, never buy anything with him again.
Try not to get in the same situation.
Cashier Rosella Marion is suing her ex-boyfriend, air conditioner repairman Jason Lauterbach, for the return of her belongings. Jason is countersuing for damage to his parents' yard caused by Rosella's dogs.
Yeah, it's case number 326 on the calendar in the matter of Marion versus Lauterbach. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Miss Marion, you and the defendant were together, according to your complaint, for 9 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And for a good part of that period, you lived together.
Yes, ma'am.
Who is this?
This is my mother, Your Honor.
The two of you lived together in his mother's house, at least for part of the time.
Yes, Your Honor.
For how many years?
We lived in her house from November of '02 to March of '03.
And prior to that, where did you live?
In Texas, Your Honor.
Just the two of you?
Yes.
Have you ever been married?
No, ma'am.
How old are you?
I'll be 30 next month, 29.
And how old are you?
30, Your Honor.
Your lawsuit, Miss Marion, claims that when the two of you separated, when you moved out of his mother's house, he retained some property that belongs to you. That was your property.
Yes, Your Honor.
You want it back.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Lauterbach says that you took whatever you wanted, whatever you left was either his property or property that the two of you accumulated during the course of your relationship, and he is counterclaiming. His counterclaim is for damage that your dogs caused to his mother's landscaping, and he said that there was some sort of an agreement that the landscaping would be refurbished by you after you left, or if and when your dogs did any damage to the property. I read Mr. Louderback's answer, and I read it very carefully, so I have to ask you a few questions just for my own curiosity that really have only a marginal piece of interest for the case.
Okay.
But for me, it's fascinating.
Okay.
You look like an intelligent young woman. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Louderback says that about 6 years ago, you were told him you wanted to marry, you were interested in marrying and starting a family, and he said to you 6 years ago, I'm not interested in marriage.
Right.
And the reason that the two of you separated recently, by the way, what month did you separate?
August, Your Honor.
The reason you separated and the reason you left is because you once again said to him, I want to get married, you know?
Yes, ma'am.
My clock's ticking. I want to get married. And once again, Mr. Louderback said, listen, I don't think you heard me the first time, dear. I told you I wasn't interested.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
That's about it. Yes, Your Honor.
So the first thing I'm going to tell you is I'm going to tell you and everybody else who may be within earshot of these words. When a man says, I'm not interested in getting married, they usually mean it.
Okay.
All right?
Sure.
And unfortunately, life is not fair. Women have a much narrower blossom, for want of a better word. You see, he can go out there and when he's 65, he can make a baby. He may not be able to walk it around the block, but he can start a family at 65.
Sure.
I mean, Charlie Chaplin was, I don't know, 106 when he decided to have children. Women don't have that advantage.
Right.
Right? So he wasted a good deal of your time. To his credit, he told you he was wasting your time.
Yes, Your Honor. I thought he might change. My fault. My fault.
They don't change.
I know.
They only get worse.
I know this now. Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Just my own curiosity. Could you stand up just for a second? Who else lives in your home with you?
My husband and my youngest son.
How long have you been married?
23 years.
You think that they get better as they get older?
Do they get better? No.
You just get used to them. What property do you want?
I would like my NASCAR collection back.
NASCAR collection! Before you answer this question, you're going to tell me that this is property you accumulated together?
Mostly, yes.
I want you to watch my face very carefully. And just think of the 9 years of her life that you wasted. She gets the car collection. You got it? You got it?
Okay.
Thank you.
What else?
There is a fine bone china collection that was given to me because I took care of a lady's elderly mother who has since passed.
He doesn't look like he eats off fine bone china.
No.
Right?
I have no idea where these dishes are or what they are.
I can tell you
never
where
saw
they are.
them.
Just a second. She's going to tell us.
Okay.
It's in the holiday closet in the hallway in the back in a white box marked fragile all over it.
Know where that is?
I can look.
We're going to find it. What else?
There is a camera that's
What
an
kind of
Olympus camera. I have the box, Your Honor. He gave that back to me, but no camera.
Where's the camera?
The camera is mine at the house
Well, tell me how it's yours.
because I bought it with my money
For you or for the two of you?
for me.
He purchased that camera for me in 2000 for my, how old am I? 27th birthday.
Does that sound right?
No.
When did you purchase the camera?
It was back in Dallas. As far as a date, I have no idea. I wish I had the receipt.
Well, she does. She said if you don't remember, she remembers. She says you bought it for her birthday.
Okay.
And you gave it to her for her birthday, and you don't remember when you bought it.
No, I don't remember when I bought it.
She remembers.
Okay.
She gets the camera.
Okay.
Along with the china and the NASCAR collection.
Okay.
Don't get piggish. What else?
There's a pink doghouse, Your Honor, that is for my dogs. And,
Pink doghouse.
yes.
She's welcome to that.
What else? What else? Come on,
no.
Wrap it up. So far, you're batting 1,000.
I'm sorry.
We're going to get to the landscaping.
There's an e-machine computer, Your Honor. Now, this is a little I'm not sure how this is going to go because...
If you're not sure, don't go there. But so far, you're batting 1,000.
I know, but his mother and I went to Walmart, and I purchased the computer, but his mother put it on her credit card, and I paid her 2 days later with cash that she claims
Did she
that
pay
I
you back?
never...
No. Well, that has nothing to do with him, you see. That's between the
Yes,
two
I
of
know.
you. So, next time, if you feel like suing her, you can. What's next?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You know the dogs were coming?
I told her she had to get rid of them.
Oh, you did, but
Yes.
you moved in anyway.
I wasn't going to leave her by
Just
herself.
a second. You moved in anyway.
Yeah.
With the dogs.
Yes, with the dogs.
And later today,
I had made it known to her that I could not have afforded to buy the car and an engagement ring.
He said, why buy the milk when you can get the cow for free? He had no intentions of getting married.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rosella Marion says ex-boyfriend Jason Lauterbach owes for the return of a NASCAR collection, fine china, and a ring she won in Las Vegas. Jason says Rosella is mad because he won't marry her.
What else?
Oh, there's a mini refrigerator, Your Honor, that I purchased at Lowe's. I have the receipt for that.
Mini refrigerator.
I have that. She bought that for me upon my return to Albuquerque so I could put snacks I liked in my room.
In your room?
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't share a room with her?
It was our room, but she said it was for me.
It was our
That's why
room.
I kept it.
How much did you pay for it? 50 bucks?
80, Your Honor.
Forget it. What's next? What's next?
That's it, Your Honor.
Good, perfect. We've resolved your case. All
Thank
those
you.
things, go back to her. Now let's get to your landscaping. Okay, I have a few questions for you. You moved in together in your mother's house in the year 2002?
I'm not good with dates. I think so,
2002,
yes.
is that right? November of 2002 is what you said?
I moved in 2002, Your Honor.
Okay.
He moved in March 2003.
That's right.
So you moved in with his mother before he moved in with his mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you have any arrangement with his mother about your dogs?
Yes, ma'am. I asked her several times because I was very concerned. I have a Great Dane, Your Honor, not a small dog. I have a Pit Bull Chow Mix, Your Honor, that's 88 pounds. I have a Mutt, that's 43. That's like over 250 pounds a dog. And she said, fine, I don't care what it takes, just as long as you guys get back here. She was very excited for us to get back. So, yes,
Okay.
she agreed.
Fine. What?
When I could say something?
Right now?
Okay.
Did you welcome enter the house with the dogs?
Well, did I welcome? I wasn't going to stop her from moving in because of the dogs.
Good.
Okay.
Perfect.
But I did not, as far as just saying that she could bring these huge animals into my home and that it would be okay, you know, just to cause damage. It's more than just the dogs. It was also cats inside the house.
You invited her.
Well, I did.
Good.
I did.
Good. Have a seat.
Okay.
And they ripped up the garden?
The yard, the
You
entire
ripped up the
backyard.
yard?
Yeah.
And they have been doing that since November of 2000. Shh. Okay. And they have been doing that since November of 2002.
Yes, ma'am. I do have
What kind
pictures.
of? I'm not interested in
Okay.
pictures. What do you do for a living?
HVAC tech,
What is that?
air conditioning, heating and AC.
So, you work with your hands?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to take care of your mother's yard on the weekends. Go get some sod, go get some seed, rake it up, take care of it. Do you understand?
No,
This was your problem together. You lived together before with the dogs, I assume, in Texas, is that right?
Yes.
All right. And you were moving to be close to your mother? And you knew the dogs were coming? You know the dogs were coming?
I told her she had to get rid of them.
Oh, you did, but
Yes.
you moved in anyway.
I wasn't going to leave her by
Just
herself.
a second. You moved in anyway.
Yeah.
Good. With the dogs. With the
Against-
dogs.
Against my, yeah. Yes, with the dogs.
Deal with it.
Okay.
Got it? Property within 5 days. Thank you very much. That's
Thank
all.
I didn't get to defend myself at all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't know what happened.
I thought men would change, and I've learned they don't.
I have 3 letters of her cheating on me. Speaking of wasting 9 years.
I told him that I wanted to get married and have children, and he said no.
I've got another one from Dear Abby telling her to seek mental help.
Men don't change.
Daycare provider Susan Johnson is suing seamstress Blanca Weiss for ruining her daughter's wedding dress 2 days before the wedding. Susan also claims Blanca ruined her gown as well.
Quiet in the courtroom, please. This is case number 360 on the calendar in the matter of Johnson versus Weiss. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Miss Johnson, it was your daughter who was getting married, is
Yes,
that right?
ma'am.
Your complaint is that you took her wedding dress, I assume this is your daughter,
Yes.
and the dress that you were intending to wear to the wedding. You took it to the defendant's shop for the purposes of having the 2 dresses altered.
Yes.
Your daughter's dress needed to be hemmed and needed the train removed.
Correct.
And what had to be done to your dress?
My dress needed to be altered in the top, right through here and through the shoulders so it would fit better.
Okay.
And it needed to be hemmed.
Anyway, you claimed that she destroyed or damaged the dresses. You want to be compensated to the tune of $2,500. That's what you're suing her for. And Ms. Weiss said she didn't damage dresses at all. Who did you buy the dresses from?
I bought the dresses at David's Bridal.
They don't do alterations?
They do alterations, but because they are under an agreement with the manufacturer, they couldn't take the train off of Patsy's dress. So I had to take it somewhere else because
that
it would
sounds like
alter.
a lot of nonsense to me.
Well, that's what they told me.
All right, so you bought these dresses, and how do you claim that she damaged the dresses?
The hem on my daughter's wedding dress is completely ruined. It's longer in spots. It's uneven. As you can see right here, this is how it was finished in the back of the dress, where the train was removed. You can see where it goes like this. It's like this all over the dress. I have pictures to show you.
Okay, so let me see the pictures.
These are the wedding dress.
Okay.
On the day of the wedding, Patsy was afraid that she would trip and fall on the dress because it was too long.
I mean, I see it, and I see the way she looks in it. Your daughter looks lovely in the dress. She looks lovely in the dress. Okay, and what was wrong with your dress?
My dress was supposed to be altered in the top because it was too big. It was a little bit too big, and it didn't fit right. And
how many fittings did you have?
One fitting. That's all I was told was needed.
And this is the way the dress looked when it was on you?
Yes.
So what's wrong with it?
It's too big. The top, do you see the puckers on the side, right, the breast area, and the back
Okay, so you
also?
weren't happy with the alteration. So what happened? You went to pick up the dresses.
I went to pick up the dresses. I walked in the shop. My daughter's dress was hanging outside of the garment bag. It didn't even look like the same dress. It was dingy. It was wrinkled. And the hem was, you could see it from a distance, that it was completely crooked.
How much was it going to be to hem the dress and remove the train?
$75 for the wedding dress.
$75 to do that?
Correct.
And was Miss Weiss charging you anything additionally to clean and steam the dress?
She was going to charge me. I asked her to clean the dress and to press the dress and put it back the way it was when I brought it in. And she told me that she wasn't going to do it. And I was going to have to pay for it to be cleaned and pressed.
Well, that's absolutely right, of course.
Well, I'm sorry, but I disagree with that. I believe that it should be given back to me the way that I brought it to her. It wasn't dirty and wrinkled. And
How did you expect someone to work on a dress of that size and to do the kind of alteration that they wouldn't do in the place where you purchased the dress without touching it?
I expect to receive it back, pressed and cleaned and ready for the wedding.
Miss Johnson, you purchased a dress someplace where they would not assume the responsibility of altering it the way that you wanted. Now, I don't know why Ms. Weiss did, but you bring it to her, and it's a big job. $75 to do the alterations is a bargain. And with that, you also want cleaning and pressing of the dress that anybody else would charge you at least another $75 for if you brought it to another cleaner's to clean and press a wedding dress. And you want that all for the same price. That's unreasonable.
If she got it dirty, she doesn't have to clean it?
Unreasonable. Now, when you picked up your daughter's dress and your dress, tell me what happened in the shop.
On prior occasions, I had paid with a check for hems done in bridesmaids' dresses. I attempted to pay for the alterations with a check. She wouldn't accept one. I told her, well, I'll be back later. I went home, and in between the time I left her shop and arrived home, she called my house and told my daughter that I was a rude, and that...
Were you rude when you were there?
I was very upset. I wasn't rude. I told her I would be back. I was upset. The dresses were awful.
Well, when you say you were upset, I want you to tell me how you displayed the fact that you were upset.
I was very quiet. I said to her, the dress is wrinkled, it's dirty. She said, you brought it to me like that. I knew at that point in time that it was useless to even try and reason with her because I knew what was coming.
What was coming?
This. I ended up with the dresses just as they were. They were unfit for the wedding.
Just a second. Did you take them someplace else to have them cleaned?
I didn't have time. It was 2 days before the wedding.
When did you brought the dress into her?
I took it in on the 15th.
15th of what?
Of September.
And when did you pick it up?
On the 24th.
When were you supposed to pick it up?
We waited for her to call. She didn't call. We finally had to call her, and she asked us, when is your wedding? That was on like the 23rd. She had the dresses for 9 days.
You mean when you brought the dresses in and went for a fitting, you didn't say to her, my daughter's wedding is this and such a date, and I want to pick up the dresses in 5 days or in 7 days?
No, I just assumed that she would be calling me. She said she would be calling me. I assumed it would be in a timely manner.
So then you went home, and then what happened?
My daughter told me what she said. I called her back on the telephone. I told her that I didn't appreciate her calling my house and talking to my daughter. I told her that I was going to take her to court because I wasn't happy with the dresses. I wanted them cleaned, I wanted them fixed, and I wanted them back like I brought them.
You didn't want them back like you brought them.
Well, I wanted them pressed and cleaned. They were dirty.
You wanted them pressed and cleaned, but you didn't want to pay for it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How much did it cost you to have it cleaned?
$75.
So you wanted her to alter the dress and have it cleaned for $75.
It wasn't dirty when she got the dress.
Oh, please, you know, you're not getting my point.
And later today,
despite the fact that she made no payments on the $3,000, you decided to advance her more money to go on the trip to Vegas.
Looking back at it,
So
if I wasn't wise.
Right.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Susan Johnson claims seamstress Blanca Weiss ruined her daughter's wedding dress 2 days before the wedding. Blanca denies the charge and says an irate Susan threatened her.
So what did you do?
So then I told her I was taking her to court. She told me to go ahead, and here we are today.
Just a minute, but somehow you got the dresses back.
Yes, she told me that when I got ready to come in to pick up the dresses that I needed to bring the police with me because she wasn't releasing anything to me. So I had to wait out front for the police. When I went in, I paid her for the dresses. We took pictures in the shop, and we left.
You paid her $75 to do your daughter's dress, and how much to do yours?
$22.
And how much did you pay for your daughter's dress?
$400.
And how much did you pay for your dress?
I paid $30.
So could you explain why you're suing her for $2,500?
Because my daughter was intimidated and scared. She was afraid she was going to fall.
I got you. So for your pain and suffering and aggravation.
For her.
Okay. Now, Ms. Weiss, I'll hear you.
They came to the store. She said she wanted the train off. I thought it was a very simple dress. It didn't have any applications or anything in the hem. So I said, fine. I told her it was going to be $75, and they agreed to do that. And they did tell me the wedding date, and I accept, and I say, we will have it done. I go about my business, and I do a lot of work. Then she calls to see if the dress was ready, and I said, no, it's not ready. We have plenty of time, but if you want the dress right away, I'll stop and I'll work on the dress, which I did. The following day, I had it ready, and I called her, and I told her it was ready. The dress is a full skirt, and in a dress, when it's full skirt, it makes waves. And because it makes waves, you might think there's parts longer than other parts because of the waves that it does. This dress had this type of hem in the bottom. Wedding dresses normally have this in the bottom. I took this off and I put it on the wedding dress that I cut because what it is,
You
this
put the
helps,
backing on again. Could I see the wedding dress?
because this helped the dress to stay up. Otherwise, the dress would be flimsy like the mother's dress.
I see.
So it's this.
No,
So
it's a stiffer material.
It's a stiff material, and I do this type of alterations all the time.
So I understand what you did. You did not just make a hem. You removed that heavy material.
Yes.
And then you sewed it back on in order to give it the same look, but it did have a wave to it.
Yes, and it had it before. This type of dresses, it will because of the flare of the dress. This is a full skirt dress. If you pick it up like this
Fine.
dress goes all the way up.
Fine.
So it gives those waves. So I did that. I didn't see any spots
I got you.
on the dress.
I see what you're talking about now. You're absolutely
So I got
right.
it ready. I hanged it up there, and I called them and tell them it was ready. The lady came in to pick up the dress. She saw it. I put the bag back, and when the lady went to pay me with a check, I told her we did not accept checks, and I had the sign posted in my bag where it says no checks in final payments. So the lady got upset. She says that it was a cheapy store, did not, everybody receives checks. And I said, I'm sorry, we don't. She got upset, and she started saying words that I did not understand. And she left very upset. That's why when she left, I did call the owner of the dress that I thought it was the daughter, and I told her that when she was ready to come, be her to pick up the dress, because I didn't need her mother to be rude to me. I only did my job. Like 2 hours later, this lady calls, and the only thing she says, I am going to get you fired, and I am going to take you to court. And she hung up. I said, okay. So
now,
anyway.
Ms. Johnson, your daughter wore the dress when?
On September 27th. I have a picture.
And what did you do? I'd like to see it. What did you do with the dress after she wore it?
I put it in a garment bag and put it away.
And it hasn't been cleaned?
It has been cleaned. I took it to the cleaner a couple of days ago.
How much did it cost you to have it cleaned?
$75.
That's exactly what I said.
Correct.
So you wanted her to alter the dress, removing the entire hem, cutting it down, putting it back on, removing the train, and have it cleaned, a job that cost you $75. You wanted her to do that for $75.
It wasn't dirty when she got the dress.
Oh, please, you're not getting my point.
She had the dresses in the floor, cutting them to hem them. Other people's
Miss Johnson, when someone works on a garment like that over a course of a day and a half, it is not going to be in the same pristine condition as when you take it out of a bridal store. Now, if you had bought it at her shop, perhaps she would have given you that service for nothing. I don't know how the bridal business works, but you buy it one place and you take it to her, and you want her to do 2 jobs for the price of one, and you didn't even buy your dresses there. You're being totally unreasonable, and your lawsuit is dismissed. And if your daughter did not have a happy day because her hem was a little bit puckered, she better get a life for herself, too. That's all. Your lawsuit's dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think that if she dirtied the dress, if she ruined it, she should have to pay for it.
I thought I'd do a good job. I've been in business for 23 years, and for a small business to survive, you either have to be good or you have to be good.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Smith, Huffman versus Warden. Step forward, please.
26-year-old prep cook Amy Smith and chef Stephen Huffman are suing Amy's ex-friend, 26-year-old homemaker Kelly Warden, for stealing money. Kelly says Amy is pulling a fast one.
According to this complaint, you gave the defendant a certain amount of money.
Yes.
Money that she was to give to an attorney because you were in the process of seeking a divorce.
Yes.
It is your claim that she stole that money, never turned it over to anyone except herself. You want it back. Defendant says this is a whole story that's made up by you because you took this money from your grandmother and spent it. What does this man have to do with anything?
This is my brother Stephen. He came down with me to get receipts and a phone number from the lawyer.
Oh, he's a witness?
Yes.
Why don't you have a seat? Okay. When did you first approach her about seeking some advice about a lawyer?
In December, I told her that I had to find a lawyer so I can do a legal separation or a divorce. And she said that she could help me out. I thought I could trust her.
Gives her qualifications to help you out with anything?
Well, she told me she already went through a divorce. She told me how much it would be. It was like $920. I gave her that money, and then she called me again.
Just a second. Why did you give her the money?
Because I lived an hour away, and it was like I didn't have a vehicle or anything.
Does anybody in your family have a car?
Yes, but they work, and I'm not allowed to drive their cars.
Go ahead. So you gave her money for the lawyer without even calling the lawyer?
I asked her if I can get the phone number.
Is the answer yes or no?
No.
You didn't call the lawyer?
I couldn't. She didn't give me the number.
Of course you could. Keep going, Miss Smith. So you gave her $920?
Plus $500 and something.
When did you give her the other $500?
She came up to New Berlin, up to my grandmother's house. My grandmother wrote the check out to me, and she said it would be better if I gave her cash and stuff, so I signed the check and cashed it.
And the money never got to a lawyer, is that what
No.
you're telling me? And when did you find that out?
My brother and I and my father went down to her trailer to get the rest of my stuff because I was moving down there, and then I decided to move back.
Moving down where?
To West Windsor.
So you managed to get somebody to drive you down
My
there on
brother
a Thursday?
took off work.
Listen to me.
Sorry.
You managed to get somebody to drive you down.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Stand up. Your last name is?
Hoffman.
In 30 seconds or less, you tell me what you know about this money.
My grandmother allowed Amy to borrow the money from her. We drove Amy down that day to, because everybody in the family thought, well, why didn't you get any receipts from her from this lawyer? So we finally...
Because that's what she was telling you. She was telling you that listen to me.
She basically
Mr.
manipulated.
Huffman, your sister was telling you that. And she gave her a receipt.
Handwritten receipts from a lawyer.
Miss Warden says that your sister asked her to write out these receipts because she had taken the money from your grandmother.
Yep.
Let me hear what she told you.
Amy called me up and said that she was in trouble, that she was her husband had just left her. He was filing bankruptcy. She says, well, my grandmother is going to give me a couple of checks. Will you please come up and take me to the bank and cash them? December 9th, we went to her grandmother's, picked up a check for $920, cashed the checks at Key Bank, and she decides she wants to go shopping. We went to Walmart. She bought me a numerous amount of clothing, my daughter all kinds of clothing, toys.
So what you're saying is she took this money from her grandmother. Now, I want you to tell me, because I read it in your answer, what she said to you about these receipts that she wanted you to sign.
Her mother and father were harping on her for some receipts. So she asked me, she says, Kelly, could you please write me some receipts, please? I want one saying that I gave a lawyer $920. No big deal. I was helping my best friend. And then she asked me if I'd write another one for $1,420. I said, sure, no problem.
Those are the two receipts that you have.
So I wrote them.
These are the two receipts that Kelly wrote, and we also have copies of the checks that were written.
To Amy, not to me. To Amy.
That's true. They were written to Amy, but there is no way that Amy would steal money from my grandmother.
Listen to me, Mr. Huffman.
You don't know about
you don't know that. Okay. Did your sister ever hold a job?
She holds a job, but she's very ill sometimes. She has asthma.
I have asthma.
Shh. Please, could you do me a favor and be quiet? I don't want to hear you again until I ask you a question. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. Mr. Huffman, your sister's story doesn't sound true to me. Do you understand? And I know it's very hard for you and your family to say she took money from her grandmother under false pretenses. But somehow it doesn't make sense to me that what appears to be two relatively intelligent people, you certainly, your sister sounds perfectly normal to me, would say, I want to get a divorce. Take $1,420 and without speaking to the lawyer, first $900, needed more, haven't spoken to the lawyer, another $500.
Us as a family were asking Amy, what are you doing? We said, why didn't you get information for her? At one point, Kelly called her down and said...
Did she ever say to you...
She had paperwork.
Shh. Mr. Hoffman, did your sister ever say to you, could you take a day off from work and drive me to the lawyer's office?
I would have. Amy...
Did your... So ask me the question. Did your sister ever say that to you?
No, she didn't. She was in a vulnerable state in her life.
No. Listen to me, sir. She did it because she took the money.
Amy did not use the money.
Yes, she did. Your sister's story doesn't make sense because she has a family, she's close to her brother, and the reason she gives me for not going to the lawyer herself initially is because the lawyer was an hour away, and she doesn't have a car, she doesn't have an access to a car, but she has access to you.
Her husband handled all this stuff before, and she didn't know how to do it, and she wanted to do things on her own. To prove to us as family members that she could do something herself.
Did she ask you to help her move down to...
She asked my other brother.
And did he?
No.
Shh. Did he bring her... Did somebody take a day off from work? Who took a day off from work?
Friend of my brother's.
But your other brother did, according to your sister.
No, he did not take a day off of work.
What part of close your mouth didn't you understand? Close your mouth. Each one of those words has one syllable. I'm not trying to confuse you. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand, Mr. Hoffman? Your sister took the money and she spent it. She did not give it to her. She may have spent some of the money on her. She may have bought her clothes. She may have bought her things. But no normal person says, here's the money for the lawyer and I don't have to talk to the lawyer. So your case is dismissed.
That's why we went up there.
That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Why did I excuse you? Step out.
Amy lies all the time.
No,
yes,
she didn't spend the money.
You're a liar.
Keep your big, fat pig
shut.
It's not between him, it's between me and Amy, so he needs to just butt out.
Yeah, you're a liar.
She's lied to her mother. She tells her mother she don't smoke. She smokes. She tells her mother all kinds of crap.
This girl was in
all the
jail.
time, so-
Yeah,
She was
whatever.
in jail.
Talk to the hand.
Amy is a liar.
Lies.
Professional manipulator.
It was Christmas time. She wanted to go shopping. She had no money.
I did
That's
not.
a lie.
That's a
Anybody
lie.
could say
I
that.
feel sorry for Amy because now she got to go back and explain it to her grandmother.
Oh, I'm not friends with that thing anymore.
That's
why
right.
Amy.
Go home and suck it up, baby.
Cardi Moran for television damage caused during an argument.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Case 2144, Paramount versus Morgan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Paramount, you and the defendant had been friends.
Yes.
Then, according to what I read, there was a falling out, which you will tell me about briefly. Subsequently, and without too much time having passed, you decided to conduct an intervention, a drug intervention, with the defendant.
Yes.
And it is your claim that during that drug intervention, she damaged your television set, and you want her to pay for a new TV. That's what your case is about. The defendant has a cross-complaint. She says she's missing some sort of a speaker. I don't know what that is. And for the emotional distress that she suffered as a result of this intervention. So I have a couple of questions, just preliminarily. How long have you known each other?
Over 20 years.
Friends?
Yes, best friends. Former best friends.
Former best friend. But there came a time, according to your complaint, that there was a falling out. And when was that?
That was in May of this year.
And what was the falling out about?
It was about our mutual friend and...
This gentleman?
Yes.
What about your mutual friend?
He was in the hospital, and we were all taking care of him. And she felt adamant to tell me that I need to do certain things for him. And I was letting her know that if he needs to tell me he needs my help, he can tell me.
Okay, there were several people looking after him while he was in the hospital, taking turns, is that right?
Yes.
And she was telling you things that you should be doing for him, and you said to her, if he wants me to do something, let him tell me, you don't direct me.
Correct.
Okay, tell me the next thing that happened that brings us to court today.
Well, after that, in May, I blocked her. We didn't speak.
Did you go to visit him?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. And did you?
Yes.
So you both did. Okay, so you blocked her in May. Then what's the next thing that happened?
Now we're in September, and this was...
And between May and September, you haven't seen her?
Haven't seen her.
Okay.
And now it's September. It's Labor Day weekend, and our friend, as we've been friends for so long, we talked and kind of mended.
Okay.
Okay, so I unblocked her. And then on that Sunday, September 4th, she calls me at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I guess she still felt uneasy about, you know, us not talking for so long, that she demanded an apology from me.
She called you early in the morning demanding an apology for what?
For basically just, I was in the wrong of not listening to her about our friend.
Okay, and then what happened?
So I refused to give her an apology. I said, we can move past it, but I'm not apologizing, which she got upset again and hung up the phone on me. And after that, she basically called a family member of mine.
Not basically.
Sorry.
You say that she placed a call to a family member.
Yes.
Okay, and you can't tell me what that family member told you because that's hearsay. You
Correct.
understand that. Okay, so she called a family member, and that was on September 4th.
Yes.
Okay, the family member called you.
The family member actually...
Did what?
Actually lives with me. So they didn't call me.
Okay, well, you can tell me the relationship.
It's just family.
Okay, family member who lives with you, and?
So she was calling that family member, asking for...
You can't tell me what any of that was about.
I'm sorry. So after the conversation with the family member told me what she said. I know, I'm not saying the conversation.
Absolutely right.
So I told Brandon what she said, and we thought at the time, let's have an intervention.
Okay, now, so without giving any credibility to any out-of-court statements, I assume by the word intervention, you had a suspicion that the defendant was using drugs or alcohol.
Yes.
Before that, before September 4th?
For a very long time.
Okay. Did you ever discuss the drug use with her?
Yes.
Well, you can tell me what those discussions were like. What kind of drugs were you afraid she was using?
I prefer not to say.
Well, you can't not say. That's what this is all about. You wanted to have an intervention. You didn't want to have an intervention because she was having caramel-covered popcorn. There was a controlled substance, I assume, that you were afraid she was using.
Yes.
Which was what?
Cocaine.
Have you ever seen her using cocaine?
Yes.
Did you ever use cocaine with her?
Yes.
Between May and September, had you ever used cocaine with her?
No.
So it was before that?
Yes.
His name is Brandon?
Yes.
Had Brandon ever used cocaine with the two of you?
No.
Did you ever see Brandon use cocaine?
No.
Okay. So you, who had used cocaine with her, decided to have an intervention with Brandon?
Yes.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an inbound call agent. I sell tickets.
Okay. And what does Brandon do?
He's disabled.
And who was going to be at this intervention?
It was myself, Brandon, and another mutual friend.
Mutual friend. Now, this mutual friend, whose name I will not have you state, have you ever seen that mutual friend use any sort of controlled substance? Answer the question.
Yes.
Yes. So now you have two people who've used controlled substance, one who has not, to your knowledge, doing an intervention.
Correct.
Okay. And do you know what an intervention is?
Yes.
What is it?
It's basically a meeting of the minds of having a discussion with one person about an issue that...
And who's there?
Who's there?
Yeah.
Oh, I would say trusted people that I would feel that they were...
Sarah, I want you to look up the word intervention and read me the very, very simplistic definition of an intervention.
From the Mayo Clinic, an intervention is a carefully planned process that may be done by family and friends in consultation with a doctor or professional, such as a licensed alcohol and drug counselor, or directed by an intervention professional called an interventionalist.
Okay. So was it on that same day that you decided to have an intervention?
Yes.
Okay. So let's start with the word well-planned, not as a result of a conversation that you have with somebody. And it's a well-planned event done in conjunction with very often relatives or close family who have a concern that something is out of control, some abusive behavior that's related to either alcohol or other controlled substances, in conjunction with a licensed professional where everything is synchronized but managed by a professional. Do you understand?
Yes, this was a bad plan.
There was no plan. It was a plan made because you were annoyed. Usually people who are involved in thinking about an intervention have nothing but love in their heart for the person who needs that intervention, but they have a plan. You didn't have a plan.
Yes,
you kidnapped her into your house.
Jennifer Paramon claims her former friend, Cardi Moran, broke her television. Cardi is countersuing for emotional distress.
Now, you were annoyed at the conversation, so what you did was not really an intervention. What did you think was going to happen at the end of this intervention? What was supposed to happen to her? According to what I read, you called her, or someone called her, probably your family member, called her with regard to these drugs that she wanted to purchase. Is that what happened?
Yes.
And said, I have them come to the house.
Yes.
Okay, so that's not a giant leap. You have to put that together. So she calls your family member for some cocaine. You arrange for an intervention. Your family member calls her at your request and says, come to the house. So that's what happened.
Yes.
Okay, but she was lured to your apartment.
Yes. Yes, I was.
Yes.
By whom?
By other
Well,
mutual
who called her and said, come over?
Who called her?
Yes.
We were already going out. She was already going out with Brandon.
Just a second. She was already going out with Brandon.
Yes. And she decided to come to where I live to come pick up these drugs. Because when she found out that basically the setup was for her to get her to my house. So I told my family member to tell her that we did have it.
Oh, just a second. That's what I said. So she was lured
Yes.
to your house.
Yes.
Where you were going to do what with her? What happened when you got to your house?
Basically, just talk.
Not basically.
Sorry.
Not basically. You lure somebody to the house. She's come to the house now expecting, let us say, expecting to buy drugs or get drugs. She gets there and realizes that that's not going to happen, that there are other people that that's not going to happen. So tell me what happened when she walked in the house. That's what your case is.
Well, when she walked in the house, I immediately tried to give her a hug, and she was upset.
Now, you immediately tried to give her a hug. What did you say?
I didn't say anything. I just opened arms, and she said, no, it's fake, backing away.
It's fake. What's
Yes.
fake?
My hug.
Okay, so she backed away.
Yes.
And?
And it just started off with
No. Somebody had to say something to her. Somebody had to say this is an intervention. Somebody had to say why she was there. She eventually was going to say, where are the drugs? But you have to tell me what happened.
Yes, when she walked
in, you went to give her a hug, pushed you away. Then what? Come on, this was an intervention.
Yes. So we couldn't even get to the part of this is an intervention.
How could you get to an intervention? You don't know what an intervention is.
Well, we couldn't get to a part of let's talk. She immediately said she was being set up. This is a setup with arguments back and forth.
Well, what were the arguments back and forth?
The back and forth arguments.
She said, I'm being set up. Somebody said to her, this is an intervention.
We didn't get to that part.
Well, what is the setup that she was talking about?
I don't know why she said...
Well, it was a setup.
It was a setup. It was a setup.
Yeah, so I want to know what your end game was.
The end game was, we have been friends for so long. Her getting to my house, yes, we did lie and say, yes, there was drugs at my house. But she already knew from how we're all there that there was no drugs. She was upset. She was irate. She was bringing up the argument that we had earlier in the morning.
So this wasn't an intervention for drugs or alcohol?
It was an intervention for drugs and alcohol.
Oh, okay. Then I'm asking you, not what happened, what was your end game?
The end game was to have a conversation with her about how much drugs she was doing because it changed her mood. It made her angry.
Well, did you have a program for her to go to? Did you have a program to take her to? Had you spoken to a professional? Had you done anything?
No.
Okay. And when she was there, according to you, she was in your house with 3 other people?
Myself and Brandon and another mutual friend.
So with 3 other people,
yes.
So she was there with 3 other adults.
Yes.
And she was lured there under false pretenses.
Yes.
And what she did, according to you, was pick up a chair and throw it at you, or threw it at a television set, breaking the television set.
She didn't throw it at me.
What did she do?
She threw it directly at my television.
Lucky she didn't throw it at you?
I wish she would have.
That's
exactly what she did.
Just a second. You're lucky. You can't do what you did. That's almost like kidnapping. If you're having a serious intervention, you have to sit down, have a working plan, what happened, have the right in your heart, have the right messaging. Your messaging was all wrong. Usually people who are involved in thinking about an intervention have nothing but love in their heart for the person who needs that intervention, and they seek professional help in order to get that person professional help. But they have a plan. You didn't have a plan.
Yes,
you kidnapped her. This is dismissed.
But, Your Honor, I have it all on video.
Did she break your TV?
Yes.
I'm going to look at the video. Your case is still going to be dismissed. I believe she broke your TV. Show me the video. I believe it.
And I also have
I believe that you're lucky that's all she did in order to get out of your apartment. Did she ultimately leave your apartment?
Forcefully,
Yes.
I kicked her out.
So forcefully, you tricked her into coming in, and then you kicked her out?
Yes, after breaking my property.
Okay.
Why would you like I squirt the dog? I cannot. I said that. Jack, are you serious?
I'm ready.
Are you
I'm ready.
serious?
Why am I being recorded?
Just a second. I don't know why you're being recorded. In any event, as I said, your case is dismissed. Fix your own TV. You have a counterclaim.
Yes.
And your counterclaim, I don't know what this speaker is. What is a speaker?
A speaker, you connect your phone to Bluetooth and you hear music on it.
Okay, so what was it doing at her house?
Shh. We were supposed to be hanging out. So I was supposed to be hanging out with Brandon and another mutual friend. I didn't know we were going to stay at Jennifer's house.
Okay, I just want to know what, you brought the speaker?
Yeah, a speaker.
And you left it there?
I didn't leave it there. My things were scattered. When she was kicking me out, my things were scattered, getting kicked into the hallway.
When amateurs decide to do an intervention, any negative consequence that flows from that, you just have to accept.
But that's reason for her to break my stuff?
Absolutely. It would have been reason to her to break everything in your apartment to get out.
Jennifer Paramon has accused her former friend, Cardi Moran, of breaking her television. Cardi claims Jennifer caused emotional distress after being tricked by Jennifer.
Okay. Did you look for the speaker?
Yeah, I looked everywhere in the hallway.
Do you have her speaker?
There was never a speaker.
Did you see a speaker?
No, I didn't.
Okay, there's no speaker. Now let's talk about your emotional situation. You got to this, I can't even call it intervention.
Trap.
Trap. That's a good word.
There you go.
That's a good word. Thank you. And tell me what happened when you got there.
When I got there, I asked the family.
You were tricked and that this was a trap.
Yes.
That's what it was.
I realized that maybe 1 minute. Okay.
That's what it was. Got in there, and it was an uneasy feeling. You realized that it was a trick to get you there. It was a trap. I want you to tell me what happened when you got inside.
Jennifer starts to walk up to me, like, with her arms open, real slow motion, like, Cardi, I'm sorry. You know, we should talk about this. We're friends. In that same tone. And I'm like, yo, really? You're being fake. I don't really want this. You know, I came here to get what I wanted, and let's go. But Brandon is getting all comfortable. He is disabled, so, you know, all right, fine. He's got to get comfortable. So we start arguing, me and Jennifer, we start arguing.
About what?
About the conversation that me and her had earlier. You know, she said that I should just get over what she said initially for me getting upset.
Okay, so the initial conversation didn't have anything to do with drugs?
We never talked about drugs. When I got to the house, I never had anything to do with them. I was talking to the family member, what I came to get. Then once me and her start arguing, I tell Brandon, like, all right, can we go now? Like, are we done here? Like, let's leave. I want to go.
So what happened? When you said to Brandon, let's go, I want to get out of here, what happened?
She squirts me with a water gun. She tells me, oh, I'm going to squirt you like I squirt the dogs.
Brandon, stand up. Your last name is?
Millman.
I want you to describe this water gun.
To be honest, Judge, I don't remember seeing a water gun.
It's in the video. If you listen to the video, she says it. I'm going to squirt you
Brandon,
like I squirt
before I
the
look
dogs.
at this again, you were there in the room.
Yes.
I'm going to give you one before I look at the video again. Whether you saw her squirt the water gun or not, did you see a water gun that day?
No, I didn't.
No, okay. So let's play this and let me hear what you're referring to. Okay, Sarah, you have a much more keen sense of hearing than I do.
I'm going to squirt you like I squirt that dog.
Okay. She's got younger ears than I do. What?
I never squirted her with the
Whether you did or not, are you telling me that?
No, I said
Sarah
it.
heard.
I
Okay,
said
so
it.
you did squirt it.
But I
you
didn't
didn't say
squirt
it.
her.
I'm going to squirt you like I squirt the dog. Okay, but that's not an intervention.
We were arguing at that point. It was already past the
That's because you lured her
conversation,
there.
intervention.
Because you did the wrong thing.
Yeah, it was a horrible plan. It was horrible.
Oh, yeah, they're absolutely right. And it caused a great deal of distress. I want to know how you got out of the apartment.
I was kicked out. I was pushed out. My things were thrown into the hallway.
At what point did that happen? Is that after?
Literally 3 seconds after.
After the TV was broken?
Yes.
You were pushed out the door?
Yes.
Well, that's some really good intervention. How long were you in the house?
A total 6 minutes, maybe.
Where did you go from there?
I got picked up and went home.
Got picked up by whom?
2 hours later by my sister-in-law.
Don't make anything up.
No.
Who picked you up?
My sister-in-law.
Okay.
And my daughter and her boyfriend.
In that 2-hour period,
Yes.
you must have waited somewhere for that.
Yes, I waited in her hallway.
Okay, so you waited. When they came to pick you up, was there any further conversation with her or Brandon? They just picked you up.
Well, between those 2 hours, there was conversations between my daughter and Brandon, my daughter and Jennifer. Everyone was talking.
Well, where was your daughter?
She was home.
So it was on the phone that they were talking?
Yes, and she was pleading with them to give me my stuff back so I could just leave.
The cross-complaint, or the countersuit, is seeking $1,800. It's seeking $1,800 not only for the emotional distress that was caused to the defendant, but also for a speaker. They don't have a speaker. How much was the speaker so that I can deduct that?
It was $129.
Okay, so we're really talking about $1,700. Okay, and that's the amount that you want for your emotional distress.
Yes, Your Honor.
For that 6 minutes. I don't blame you. I think it's worth at least that. I think that when amateurs decide for all the wrong reasons to do an intervention, and absolutely, it would have been reason to break everything in your apartment to get out. Absolutely. You are holding her there. Yes, just a second. You brought her there under false pretenses. That's what you did. And you had somebody else there as well. And according to you, you wrote it was an intervention. But it wasn't an intervention. It was whether you wanted to.
For a 20-year relationship, intervention may be a wrong word.
Well, it was a very, very wrong word, and you don't trick somebody to come to your house with something else in mind, even if it's to buy drugs. So I'm awarding you $1,700 on the counterclaim for your emotional distress. Your claim for the broken TV is dismissed. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I have no thoughts.
I'm happy with her decision, but it's bittersweet because these are my friends.
Just have a conversation about certain situations we were having.
Her intention, I don't think it was to make me stop doing what they all do anyway.
I didn't keep her, that's the thing. She walked in freely, walked out.
That's the betrayal.
Yeah, this is over.
It's just time to go separate ways. You know, I lived and I learned. Those are the people that I grew up with. You know, those turn-up days are over anyway, so.
I think this whole situation was a perfect example of what my dad calls lack of two-step thinking. Okay. So we can already agree the intentions were not great. They were just maybe potentially rekindling a friendship, and that's not exactly the person you want leading your intervention, if that's what they wanted to call it. And also, what was your plan? If it went the way that the plaintiff at least claims she was intending it, was to get her friend help, say that the defendant broke down and cried and admitted to having a problem and really wanting help. Where was the help? There was no help.
That's true.
So I agreed with you that the plaintiff deserved any amount of damage that happened from having such a lack of a plan.
It was a lack of a plan. She lured her there.
Yeah, I mean, just a messed up situation all in all. And you really have to be coming from the right place to do something like that. And I think neither of them were.
Her former roommate, Ian Lefkowitz, for unpaid rent and eviction costs.
Ms. Birkland, how long had you lived in your residence?
Prior to the defendant moving in?
Yes.
2 years.
And how long did you live there with the defendant?
A total of 5 years.
You lived
with the defendant, I'm sorry, 3 years.
3 years.
This month would have been.
And for most of that 3-year period, what kind of work do you know that the defendant did?
Computer work and music producing.
How do you support yourself, sir?
I produce music. I don't do computer work.
Produce music for whom?
Various artists and brands and whatever.
How long have you been doing that?
Since I was 13 years old.
How old are you now?
32.
You have a corporation or an LLC?
Not currently standing, but I do have one that is out of commission right now that needs to be reestablished.
When was the last time you filed tax returns?
Last
April.
Last April, yeah.
And on your tax returns that you filed, how much did you indicate that you earned?
I receive royalties from a company called, and they take my taxes out automatically, so I'm not sure how much.
I'm asking you how much you reported your gross income was when you filed your tax returns in April.
Distributes my royalties.
So is what you're saying you didn't file tax returns in April?
I assume that they're filed automatically through this company that pays me.
Mr. Lefkowitz, when was the last time you put a stamp on tax returns that you sent to the government?
I do not know.
Ever? You have to think.
No,
ever?
Like I said, where I make most of my money, if not all my money, comes through a company called... which they take out the taxes automatically before paying me. So I've never filed through that. I just assumed that it was already taken care of in that way.
You assumed wrong.
Okay.
Okay. There came a time, Mr. Lefkowitz, you lived there for 3 years, but there came a time when you stopped paying rent.
Correct.
And what was your rent when you moved in with the plaintiff?
$1,200 a month.
You had your own room?
Yes.
Bathroom?
Yes.
Most of your money comes from royalties, and I assume that's royalties on past work.
Yes.
And you've been existing on that for how long?
8 years or so.
So how much do you make from these royalties? You pay $1,200 a month rent, you have a car.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh, it's not an answer.
Yes.
You have a
how
car.
much do I make?
So you have a car, you have insurance.
Yes.
What kind of car do you have?
I have a Honda Clarity.
What year?
It's a lease. It's a 2021.
And how much do you pay a month for the lease?
$395.
Does that include insurance or does it not include insurance?
It does not include insurance.
So you pay an additional how much for insurance?
About $350.
So you spend $700 a month for your car.
Correct.
And let's get back to, you moved in October of 2019, your rent was $1,200 a month. And you lived there until when?
Until about 2 months ago. So September 4th or 3rd is when I moved all my stuff out.
And when was the last month you paid rent?
That would have been in December of 2021.
So you lived there January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, and part of September. So at least 8 months that you lived there and didn't pay rent.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wasn't there for August.
For rent that you didn't pay.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still living there?
No.
Why not?
I was evicted.
When?
The exact date is August 2nd. I do have my paperwork for notice to vacate and all that.
Just a second.
Sure.
On August 2nd of 20...
I'm sorry, that was the court date, and that's when the judgment was made, was August 2nd.
And when did you move out?
2 weeks later.
That's not true.
And you were evicted for non-payment of rent?
Yes, for 2 months. Yes.
Just a second. You were evicted for non-payment of rent?
Yes, for 2 months.
Well, show me that it was for 2 months. I just want to see that it was for 2 months and what 2 months those were.
That page right there.
No, you didn't leave until, let's say, September 1st.
That sounds more like it.
You didn't leave until September 1st.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I did mistakenly speak. I do remember that the judge...
Don't tell me what the judge said. I'm asking you when you left.
Gave me 6 weeks from that date of August 8th.
What?
So
Neighbor at...
Just a second.
Yeah.
You left at about the same time.
A few days before.
Fine, that's at about the same time.
She actually left after that. I talked to a neighbor that said around the 14th that she was still there.
You can't tell me what the neighbor said, sir. That's why I stopped you before.
Well, I know there's a moratorium for COVID, and the government shut my business down.
That's what he
so
says.
I knew that I had protection.
He's saying the exact same thing you are in his answer. You two are soulmates.
Hey, no, Your Honor, I'm sorry.
Shannon Berkland claims her former roommate, Ian Lefkowitz, is responsible for unpaid rent.
Okay, this eviction notice is dated May 26, and it says that you didn't pay April or May.
Correct.
But both of you lived there in June. Did you pay June?
Yes.
Show me proof. Show me proof that you paid June and July. Show me proof you didn't pay April and May. Show me proof that you paid.
My proof?
Your proof.
Is in the fact that I don't owe any rent except for when the moratorium lapsed and I...
No.
I don't have a receipt. I don't have a receipt for payment.
Then just pay rent.
Correct.
For June and July.
Yeah.
Here we go. And you didn't pay for April, May, June, and July. I know you didn't pay for August. There's no question you didn't pay for August, and you were actually there in August, so you didn't pay for 5 months.
I guess, yes.
Okay, yes. And the reason that you didn't pay rent for those 5 months was what?
I had spent all my savings on paying rent, and I had none left. I paid as much as I could, supporting him.
Just a second.
The best I could, and I...
What happened is you both sort of took advantage of this rent moratorium.
Not true.
Well, if you didn't pay rent for April, May, June, July, and August, what were you doing?
Waiting for him to pay his rent because I couldn't afford to pay for my station.
Just a second. Yeah. You didn't pay any rent.
You did moratorium for COVID, and the government shut my business down.
That's what he says.
I knew that I had protection.
That's what he says. He's saying the exact same thing you are in his answer.
Did he go to court and do the paperwork and do the filings and
Who cares?
And I do.
Who cares? I don't. Each of you seems to be living. You operate your hair business out of your house.
In addition to
Just
another business, yes.
Whatever. You operate your hair business out of the house. He operates, I don't know what he does, but I know he's 32 years old, supports himself, spends $700 a month on a car, spent for a long time $1,200 a month rent, and can't remember the last year or the last decade that he filed tax returns. So whatever it is, this is your problem, Miss Birkeland, and this is what I actually didn't understand when I read your complaint, because what you're looking for is 8 months' rent from him.
Correct.
You didn't pay the rent.
I shouldn't be evicted. I asked him to leave every month that he didn't pay me.
Should have read a cutter.
I had a business as a hairdresser, and I went out to rent a station, and I was out for 4 months to pay for a station.
It doesn't matter.
Because I wanted to go back to be my nice space that I had created for myself, and I've worked my butt off for, and my clients liked. I wasn't getting paid rent for his room. I wanted to move my studio into his. My life has not been easy, and this home was the one thing that I've worked my ass off for. It's the only thing in life that I loved besides my
Miss Birkeland, did you say to your landlord,
yes,
I have a roommate.
Yes.
He's not paying me his half of the rent, but I want to show you in good faith, I am going to give you my portion of the rent. You didn't do that.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Well, show me. Just a second. Show me. All I know is they say this is your evidence for the full amount of the rent for April and May. And I know you didn't pay June, July, August, and September. I know you didn't pay that. So I'm asking you, just show me some proof, Miss Birkeland, that you said to your landlord, who is also in business. And then they've got two people who decide, well, we have a rent moratorium. I'm not in any worse position now than before, so I'm just not going to pay rent.
Your Honor, I was...
Just show me that you made partial payment to the landlord for April, May, June, July, and August.
I don't have that because I was protected under the law.
Okay, good. And so is he. Case is dismissed. We're finished. Goodbye. Goodbye. Listen,
I can prove
you two are so.
that
You're
I
just
attempted to pay full rent.
You
after he
two.
was gone, and I was able to bring my business into the house.
You two are soulmates. You both relied.
No, Your Honor, I'm sorry.
Out.
This court is adjourned.
Soulmates. You both took advantage of a law, and you both lost. Goodbye.
I have nowhere to operate both of my businesses. I created one during COVID.
We both exercised our rights under California tenant laws.
Which I would have had I had a room that he wouldn't leave.
You know, that's just what it is.
Every month I pleaded with him.
That never happened.
I cried, I fought.
She never asked me to leave crying, approached me or nothing.
If it can be helped, don't have a roommate.
Because the plaintiff did the exact same thing using the exact same legal loophole that was created during COVID for people who really were struggling and not being able to afford their rent. And now she sues him for doing the exact same thing that she did. So the landlord is really the only one out here.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And if you could write a check to the landlord, that would be fine. But the landlord isn't a party. I have a feeling that there are a lot of very small landlords, you know, not people that own giant buildings, but people who have, you know, their real estate businesses are small. They may have 2 or 3 or 4 apartments that they rent. They maintain them, whatever. She was living there for a while, clearly happy with the situation because she lived there for 5 years. Well, why just not pay your rent if you're still doing hair in the apartment? That's a business. That's what you're doing. He's still collecting his same royalties, which he thinks somebody else should be reporting on their tax return. I don't know. People have to really grow up. I'm getting so... losing my patience so quick.
Xin chào mọi người. Hôm nay thì mọi người hãy cùng với mình tô màu cho chiếc xe máy này nha. Và bây giờ thì mình sẽ bắt tay vào và tô màu luôn nhé. nay thì chúng mình sẽ cùng với nhau tô màu cho bức tranh này. Bức tranh về một chiếc xe máy nha. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ tô màu luôn ha. Bây giờ thì chúng ta sẽ tô màu nha. Rồi thôi. Được. Các bạn ơi, hôm nay thì mình sẽ cùng với các bạn tô màu cho bức tranh về một chiếc xe máy nha. Bây giờ thì các bạn hãy cùng mình hoàn thiện cho bức tranh tô màu nhé. Bây giờ thì chúng ta sẽ cùng với nhau tô màu luôn cho bức tranh nhé các bạn. tác động của gia đình đối với sự phát triển của xã hội? Xì keo chưa có truyền thống đó. Tao không được ăn. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô màu chiếc xe nha. Các bạn ơi, hôm nay thì mình sẽ có tô màu cho bức tranh về những cái biển hiệu giao thông. Các bạn hãy cùng mình đón xem bức tranh của ngày hôm nay như thế nào. Mình tìm bè. Thì cứ ngủ đi, cho ngủ sáng rồi muốn gì nữa trời.
Kêu là đang có target là dạy để làm tiếng Anh mà cứ
chiều làm. Ố, chiều đi học hả ta?
chưa làm thì là phải đọc chị Linh thôi mà.
Bây giờ mình sẽ tô màu nha. Cái tí làm đi, chưa làm đi. Ngủ sáng giờ thì chưa hả?
Bây giờ làm.
Bây giờ làm gì có máy hay gì đâu.
Thôi lo bài tẽ nào.
Thế thì ăn xong sao mà làm.
Thôi tôi khỏi ngủ trưa nhỉ.
Thì chả thế ngủ bây giờ định ngủ chưa tiếp á? Vẫn muốn ngủ à?
Không, hỏi thôi.
Mẹ có thể sáng bố gọi ẩm mày lên không? Love, give me a step. Love is supernova.
Để nhạc cái bó này.
Nghe nó nhẹ tai ấy. Nghe nhạc Jimmy hồi lâu mà bị giật đau cái đầu luôn. Đau tai lắm. Supernova. Ê, chính là tao ký hơi nhiều nha. Goodbye. Để tiếp tục series tô màu tranh trên kênh của mình thì hôm nay chúng ta sẽ lại tiếp tục tô màu. Và đây sẽ là bức tranh của ngày hôm nay nha. Đổ. Giờ thì chúng ta sẽ tô màu. Chị hôm nay đấy. Bây giờ chúng ta sẽ tô thôi. Nào, bling blush. Look at Để đi bên này không? Pink flat là gì? Nghĩa là gì ta? With flat. Mình flat. Nó cửa chị đi cái. Đây là hai cái chị này này. Hình như cái đất này. Ăn xúc xích không? Rồi. Cái này ngầu vãi. Tao thích cái bà này. Ăn xúc xích còn một cái xúc xích to ở trong cái tủ là ăn nốt đi. Để vứt ra. Vứt luôn rác vào trong thùng rác này.
Giờ chưa ăn cơm không?
Chưa ăn bún. Xin chào mọi người đã lại quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ có bức tranh tô màu về một cốc trà sữa như thế này. Mọi người hãy cùng mình đón xem. Cùng xem là mình sẽ tô màu. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô màu trong bức tranh nha. Đức ơi. Đức. Xin chào các bạn. Hôm nay thì các bạn sẽ cùng mình tô màu trong một cái cốc nước. Ở trong mình có những cái hình trái tim rất là dễ thương nữa. Chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô màu cho bức tranh nha. Mọi người ơi, hôm nay thì mình sẽ có tô màu cho bức tranh này. Bức tranh về của một nhân vật Pokemon. Chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau đồng hành và tô màu cho bức tranh ngay bây giờ nhé. Bây giờ thì chúng ta sẽ cùng với nhau tô màu cho bức tranh này nha. Ồ, chỉ ra là mình bảo. Hello các bạn, Hôm nay thì các bạn sẽ cùng mình tô màu cho một cái chậu hoa nha. Đây, bức tranh của ngày hôm nay chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô màu. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô màu cho chậu hoa nha. Ghê quá. Như con quỷ. Hello mọi người, hôm nay thì mọi người cùng đi tô màu cho bức tranh về cái chậu hoa xương rồng nha. Bây giờ thì chúng ta sẽ tô màu cho bức tranh về chậu xương rồng nhé. Hello mọi người. Hôm nay thì mọi người cùng mình tô màu cho bức tranh này nha. Bức tranh về những bông hoa và có những chùm bọ cánh cam nữa nhé. Bây giờ chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô màu luôn nha. Bực quá đi. Vất vả. để tiếp tục series tô màu tranh thì hôm nay thì mình sẽ có bức tranh về một chú chim và cái tổ của mình. Ở trong thì có thêm một cục trứng nữa. Làm gì để hết đau rồi. Bây giờ chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho cái tổ chim đi. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô lên chú chim nha. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ có tô màu cho bức tranh về phong cảnh. Đây, bức tranh của ngày hôm nay. Chúng ta hãy cùng nhau tô màu nha các bạn ơi. Bây giờ thì chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau tô màu nha các bạn. Rồi. Bạn trời rơi một lạng ghê. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ cùng với các bạn tô màu cho bức tranh về một bạn ong đang đi lấy mật ở cái phần nhụy hoa nha. Thôi thì mình sẽ tô màu nha. Kỳ rồi. Dạ. Vâng, làm gì? Làm gì? Vâng, đợi con tí.
Cá.
Ăn bún với lại có cá. Ăn bún với lại có cá cơ.
Bún cá.
Được kêu bún hải sản. Giờ mình sẽ tô bông hoa nha. Yêu